じゃあ済んだ頃にまた。
I swear, this isn't what it looks like. Love is a strange emotion. The University of Utah's 7 domains of women's health classifies love as a secondary emotion. It is an emotion born from other emotions, those being anger, fear, sadness, trust, anticipation, disgust, surprise, and joy. Unlike the emotions I've put on screen, love isn't something that stands on its own. It's a feeling that you get from another feeling, and sometimes it's a feeling you get from multiple feelings. Some of those feelings can be good and bad. For example, I love Berserk because it's a series that has some of the most amazing character writing. It's a story about growth and perseverance, and it has one of the most amazing protagonists ever written in any medium. However, I also love that in order to get to see those amazing parts of the story, you have to sit through some of the most uncomfortable depictions of human nature and have to face the reality that the world isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a series that has made me feel uncomfortable. It's a series that has made me want to re-examine myself and reflect, and it's a series that has made me feel sick while reading it, and yet despite those negative feelings, I still love it. My joy from the amazing parts of the story and my disgust and anger at the parts that made me want to punch the screen while reading the manga have formed the love I have for the series. Now I know you're probably wondering why I'm bringing up Berserk this early in a video about Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroes, but I swear this will make sense the longer the video goes on, so just stay with me for like 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes. Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines is special. Nowadays, I feel like we have an overabundance of romance anime, and all of them typically have something that separates them from other series in the same genre. Ever wondered what a Super Sentai rom-com would look like? Love After World Domination's got you covered. Ever wondered what a rom-com between 2 adult otaku would look like? Watsukoi Love is Hard for Otaku's got you covered. Ever wondered what a rom-com between 2 socially inept scientists who don't understand what love is would look like? Scientypes fell in love. And there's so much more. Series about young love, teenage love, adult love, love with disabilities, incest. I'm not joking. But in a vast ocean of romance series, what makes Makeine different?
Yanami, will you?
Yes.
Will you be my friend?
Think of you as a friend.
This is what makes Makeine different. But before we get here, hey, I hate to stop you while you're watching the video, but did you know that 99% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed? I know, very sad. Many tears. Please, if you're here, subscribe. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment. Tell me your favorite fruit if you want. It helps with the algorithm. I appreciate you for watching this video, and deuces. I should probably give you a little backstory if you haven't already seen Makeine and this is your first time seeing it through this video. Makeine isn't what I would call a romance series. Does it have romance in it? Yes. But does the romance revolve around the main character? No. Makeine follows Kazuhiko, Nukumizu, and the harem he ends up creating by accident while helping the 3 main heroines deal with their own love lives. We got the shy, nerdy girl who always has her nose in a book who loves her club president, a tanned tomboy who is in love with her best friend, and the resident blue-haired girl who never wins in any romance anime. Kazuhiko's main role in the story isn't to be the shoulder to cry on that eventually becomes the new love interest that the girls fall for. Often at times when watching the show, it seems like he doesn't know what to say to these girls, and the only comfort he can offer them is his presence so they know that they aren't alone, and that is something I really appreciate because it adds to the plot of the show and makes the interactions between each of the characters feel more natural. Initially, when I started the show and the longer it went on, I thought that the show was a deconstruction of the romance genre, but deconstruction means trying to understand something by analyzing every aspect of the story to figure out what the story is trying to convey, and Makeine isn't exactly subtle with its themes and plot. This is a story about the worst part of love, rejection. You know rejection, right? It's that thing that literally never happens in any romance series. That is what Makeine is about. The 3 girls I mentioned earlier, Chika, No Not That One, Lemon, and An, all get rejected by people they fall in love with, and this isn't the standard anime type of rejection where the love interest gets rejected in the beginning and later gets together with the person they fell fell for. This is real rejection. The three girls aren't going to get together with their love interest because one, those guys aren't the main character, and two, if they did get with their love interest, it would go against the show's narrative. Rejection is something I'm sure we've all dealt with, but nothing is worse than getting rejected after a romantic confession. Rom-coms until recently used to be very formulaic. A lot of the bad ones typically had the same tropes: a love triangle, misunderstandings, not confessing at the right time, and dragging the plot until the heat death of the universe. And even the good ones suffer from these tropes. The first video on my channel that got over 1,000 views and helped me get my first few hundred subscribers was about My Dress Up Darling, a romance series I praised to high heaven and said was romance done right. That was 2 years ago. Smash cut hundreds of chapters later and the manga dragged to the point I dropped it because the story was beginning to frustrate me. Marin wouldn't confess her feelings, but I knew that one day it would happen. One day the two protagonists would get together and their relationship would actually start, because this is a romance anime. The two protagonists are destined to get together because that's what happens in this genre, and it's very rare that the leads don't end up together. And even with Marin dragging the story by not confessing out of fear of rejection, I still had hope that a confession would happen, and it did, and now they're together. But the idea of rejection wasn't explored to its fullest length. This is what makes Makeine such a special series. Watching the three leads get rejected and seeing them deal with the heartbreak that comes from rejection and eventually moving past it while growing closer to the main character is what makes the show so fun to watch. Getting rejected isn't the most pleasant thing. It's often very messy and can leave you feeling very disillusioned and depressed. It can make you question your own value. It can result in you feeling like the reason you were rejected was because you have nothing of value to offer the person who rejected you, and seeing them date someone else only adds on to those ever-growing negative emotions. Rejection is something that can cause us to do things we know aren't healthy or right for our well-being. It can cause us to cling even tighter to the person who rejects us and make us delude ourselves into believing that if we say the right thing at the right time, do the right thing at the right time, or present ourselves in a way we know will get them to notice us more, then somehow the person we like will reconsider their decision and go out with us. The thing that this show does so well is highlight that love isn't a one-way street, and I think this is personified the most in the character of Yanami. Yanami is probably my favorite female lead in any rom-com ever. Better than Marin, better than Kaguya, better than Yamada, and better than Komi. This isn't because of the romantic chemistry she has with Kazuhiko, but it's because she's the biggest girl failure in the romance genre. Wiktionary defines a girl failure as someone who is endearingly pathetic or inept. The thing that makes this loser at love so endearing is the fact that she knows that she sucks and she knows why she sucks. She's the first of the three female leads introduced, and the show starts with her telling the person that she cares about that she understands how the person he wants to be with feels about him. She understands that she will never have a chance with him, but she still loves him, and she would rather marinate in that unrequited love knowing that it's bad for her and that it will never be returned to her than let it go and move on. The thing that doesn't make that part of her character grating as opposed to someone like Lemon, who has a clear visible desire to be the girl her childhood best friend chooses, is that An is open to the idea of her heart belonging to someone else, that person being Kazuhiko. She just doesn't know him enough to feel those emotions the same way she does for the first person she fell in love with. This highlighted to me that the show and An are meant to be a representation of how we deal with love and how we deal with rejection. An is the person who pushes her childhood best friend away because she realizes that she can't give the same type of love she knows her best friend might want, and so she comes to terms with those feelings and lets him be happy with someone she knows he will be happy with. She is still really cringy though, and she does a lot of cringy things like drinking out of the same straw as him and telling him that she won't ever stop loving him and that she is allowed to feel those emotions, but it never comes off as pathetic as you might think it does. Well, It is still pretty pathetic, but you get my point. An is endearing because she's someone the audience can relate to the most instead of trying to self-insert into Kazuhiko. You are more likely to find yourself in the role of An, watching the person you fell in love with be happy with someone else and cheer them on despite how much it hurts you because you can't let go of that person. If you have ever felt like An, feel free to tell me in the comments. I know when I was younger, I used to be An way more than I was Kazuhiko, and man, it was rough. I mentioned that An is the personification of love not being a one-way street, and to understand what I mean by that, I want to talk about another series that isn't Berserker Mushoku Tensei. Ha! See, I know more than 2 series. And the series in question is the case study of Vanitas. The case study of Vanitas is a lot like Makeine, minus the vampires, blood-sucking, action, magic, and steampunk Victorian London aesthetic. The main similarities I'm drawing here are how An and Vanitas both display the love they have for people while trying to push away their own feelings and trying to protect themselves. Vanitas proclaims to Noe that he wishes for his love to never be returned by Jean. He would rather love her from afar than get close to her and hurt himself with possibly being rejected by her because he believes that he is unworthy of her affection. Likewise, An is the same. Instead of facing rejection head on, she pushes the person she cares about away to be with the person he wants to be with because in her eyes, she has already accepted and knows that the love that she has for him won't be returned. Both of these characters push their feelings in one direction towards the people they care about or towards someone they end up growing close to later down the line. They believe that their feelings will never be returned, and when they do get returned or notice someone giving them the love they wish to be returned, they panic. For Vanitas, it is to immediately assume that Jean cast some sort of evil spell on him that makes it difficult for him to think about her. For An, it's to immediately reject Kazuhiko before he can ask her to be his friend because receiving love is unfamiliar to her, so she believes that pushing him away is the best thing to protect herself. These two characters believe that love is a one-way street because of their negative experiences with it, so they shut themselves off to the possibility of letting anyone in out of fear that they will get hurt, and their lack of understanding on how to deal with another person's feelings is what makes them really interesting characters. I could just be looking too deeply into these characters and I could be making a mountain out of a slightly smaller mountain, but this is just how I see these characters, so I apologize if my comparison confused you. The thing, however, that grounds Makeine, unlike Vanitas, is that Makeine is a show that is more real with its story. It tries to analyze how a real person would look at moving on from love and shows us the best sides of that, those being reconciling and communicating about how we feel to the people we care about, and the worst parts, those being the heartbreak of knowing that you won't get to be with the one person you believed you should be with. Makeine Too Many Losing Heroines is special. In a vast ocean of romance anime with the typical cliches that saturate the genre, the series looks at those cliches and says we don't do that here, and deals with the actual topics that the genre tends to overlook. There are a lot more things I wanted to talk about, like Makeine's beautiful animations from A1 Pictures, the soundtrack, and just the overall vibe of the series, but I didn't want to spoil too much of the show. Please, if you're still here and you feel like I've sold you on the show, if you haven't already watched the show yet, go watch it. Please, this show is so good and is worth your time. I promise that you will enjoy this more than you know. Would I recommend? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Watch this show. Do it now. That's been it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and shout out to Mr. Regular 589 for being one of like the earliest people to subscribe to me and watch my stuff, comment on it, even though like I don't feel like I am worthy of like getting a lot of praise for my stuff. I typically feel like I don't put in as much work as like other YouTubers in the same space, but knowing that at least one person enjoys my content a lot really like it just makes me feel good inside knowing that I can make someone's day with my content and they enjoy it. So shout out to you, Mr. Regular 589, for enjoying my videos. I love you, bro. I love you. And yeah, no plugs or anything like that this week. Just yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a good day or good night, and I will see you guys later.